Yo, what's up everyone? It's the Sauce Boss here, and today I just wanted to make a little video for you guys to just show my gameplay on Temple of Anubis from the other day. And I just wanted to be able to show you guys just my whole positioning and everything and thought process and why I'm doing specific things at certain points, just to give you guys a little bit better of an idea of why I'm doing certain things. Some things to consider off of the start before we actually even start the game. This is actually one of the more important things in comp that people for some reason don't really utilize, and it's just to take an easy look about what kind of comp are we running. So with our comp right now, we actually have a pretty standard dive comp for the most part, so we're not really going to have a shield to play behind. So what we have to think as a Zen player is, what's going to be our safest spot to play in, but also be able to get some value out of yourself, just so we're not back in no man's land doing nothing, or we're up too far and is just going to get killed in 1 second. So we have to play around dive on this point, and you have to make sure you're in a spot where you're safe, but you're also going to be able to put enough work in to help your team. And where we're playing at right now, we actually know this is a pretty safe spot because we actually know they have a Widow now. And playing anywhere else, we're going to put ourselves in a pretty bad position where Widow's going to have a good sight on us. But by playing right here, as long as Widow's on high ground, she can't really do anything to us. So she's kind of out of the picture right now. So being here, we just are kind of able to discord certain targets, put Harmony on our targets, and have a little bit of a choke we can actually pressure as well. So this is all around going to probably be your safest spot. And as you can see, this actually ended up working out pretty well at first. We were back far enough where they couldn't dive us. They dove in, we discorded them, we followed our discord, and pretty much just destroyed people pretty quick. But then the mistake we ended up making was, you saw where Ana was playing, she kind of got sniped on the bridge because she's in a good sight line of Widow, pretty much what I was just saying. And then once we lose our Ana, I don't think our team realizes that our Ana was dead, so we aggressive fight when we're short-handed, and this actually ends up putting us in a pretty bad spot. So at this point, we kind of know the fight's over. They're going to have a better spawn advantage than we do. We already lost a few people. So it's our job at this point, if we know we're not going to make it out, we need to die ASAP. But in this situation, we kind of were given enough space, and they kind of backed off of us. So we just know we can walk it back to point B. We lost point A. There's no point in going back in. We just let it happen. And then we just worry about point B and try to cycle ults and just hold the point as best as we can. And there's a reason why I stopped the video at this specific time right here, and it's not to check about who has gold damage or who has gold elims, or as whatever people like to say when they pull this screen up, but we actually are checking this screen because we want to see the other team and think about who put a lot of work in that last fight, what's their plans for this next fight. And what I see as a Zen player is we see an Ana and a Genji here, so what we're thinking here is that they're probably going to want to set up a blade combo, and we want to kind of make it our responsibility to have trans for it. We want to be able to hold trans if we can to make it there in time. Sometimes you can't, but like the goal is to try and save trans for when they pop their nano blade. And what we're going to see here is Winston is actually going to make a pretty deep dive to put pressure on me, and it actually works, and he forces me back. And the whole plan on their side is they want to try to kill me, because they are probably assuming that I'm close to trans or I have trans, and they want to have a clean nano blade. And this play obviously ends up working pretty well. So what we know is now coming out of spawn, they don't have their combo, so we want to be able to trans almost as quick as possible. Now in this situation as well, once we're coming out of a trans here, we actually would usually try to get ourselves into a safer spot, because Zen contesting point is just almost a waste of time unless you absolutely have to touch the point, because he has no mobility, he's squishy, you're just going to die instantly. So in most cases, you actually want to try to get yourself back into a safer spot and just try to survive so you're getting value off of your Discord orb. This alone is just going to bring so much more to the table opposed to just hopping onto point, touching it for maybe 3 seconds max, and then just getting destroyed. So just by staying alive in these situations and maybe just discording a target and calling it out, it's just going to be the way better idea. Now this is where we actually get to a little weird part of the game where we're just kind of trading off kills, the attacking team's kind of staggering. And for those of you that don't know, when you're playing 2CP, trades are always going to favor the defending team just for how close the spawns are. Your spawns are right around the corner. They got to run from point A just to get back to point B. So in this case, this is actually going to be a good thing for us. So what we want to do now is just reset, get back into the position we're used to, which is by the back left spawn door. And we pull up the screen again because I want to just go over again how important it is. I can't stress it enough throughout this whole video. It's just trying to understand what's going to be happening next. And what I think is going to be happening next in this fight is probably another Nano Blade. I assume they probably built another one at this time. But we just want to play it safe. So we know we're going to have trans for it. So we just want to be one step ahead of the game. And if we know it's coming, now we're just going to be ready for it. As we can see in this fight, though, no Nano Blade's going to come. The monkey overextended a little bit. We punished him for it. We get a kill on the Ana after this, so we're just going to have to reset this fight. We don't have to commit ults here, and this is already pretty much won, so we're just pretty much going to be waiting for the next fight again. And this is going to take us back to this phase where it's kind of downtime, but if you want to start succeeding more in Overwatch, you should treat no time as downtime. So during this time, you want to be able to tab check, which is where you pull up both sides of the team, and think about again what ults we just saw. Did they switch anything? What ults are they going to be using? And in this scenario, I'm going to be guessing Nano Blade is going to be coming right back. So we know we have our trans build up again, so we want to be holding trans as best as possible for their Nano Blade. So this is actually a part of the game where I don't know if this was a pretty big mistake on my part or not, but we see Genji gets nanoed, but the whole thing was for me in this situation was he never popped Blade. And we actually ended up losing 2 people because we hold trans for too long, but the thought process for me is if we pop trans while Genji is just nanoed without the Blade, we could probably sustain, maybe save one or two of those people. I'd say maybe one. And once it wears off, he's just going to have an open Blade. So it was kind of like a chess match between him and I here, and I was able to kind of hold off, I'd say long enough for him to Blade where I can trans and still save a few people, but looking back on this, I don't know if this was the right or wrong play, and it's still hard to tell even when I can pause it and look back. And what's going to happen right here is actually we're going to kind of bait this Genji into attacking us, and this goes back to what I said earlier. There's no point of us being on the point at this stage. Even if they get a few ticks, it's not really worth us dying to maybe stop them from getting one. I think it's better to just let them have one at the expense of winning the fight for sure. And I think this little sequence could even go to show some people that this thought process tends to be pretty accurate, because we won this fight pretty easily, and who knows what would have happened if we actually tried to contest the point at Zenyatta, like I said, which usually doesn't work, and who knows what the outcome would have been. And what we're going to see in this next clip is their Winston actually pop Primal Rage and dive very, very, very deep. And when you see this as a Zen player, even with Primal Rage, if you can get a Discord on him and he's that far away from his teammates, you can probably put enough pressure on him to force him to leave without even maybe landing a kill. And what it shows here in this clip is our teammates all do a great job here. We see him dive deep, our supports stay together, we have Peel, and he honestly just gets melted. And then once this happens, again, it's probably pretty unlikely we're going to win this fight, because when you're down your main tank, it's going to be really hard to take a point when you're attacking point B in 2CP. And what you're going to see here again is actually our Winston's going to land a kill on Genji here. So this is going to put us up in the fight, and like I've been saying, having a pick in 2CP is always going to favor defense first on point B, because your spawn door is literally right there. So trading's bad, and the other team knows this, so the other team's going to just back off and wait for a 6-man fight. And since we know they're backing up, we actually have a little bit of comfort here to go up and put a little bit of pressure on them. We don't want to make any big mistakes though, so don't go too overboard and forget about timing and everything, knowing that they're going to come back soon, and just be able to get some damage in but reset pretty quick and just prepare for the next fight once this is all resided and there's going to be a 6v6. And now what we're going to see here is what we've been holding our ult for again. So we see Nano Blade come out. We have our ult ready. So you're just going to see us pop our ult pretty quick. And I think this is a little bit extra. We kind of stacked EMP on top of it. I don't think this was really needed, but that's out of our power. But like I said, what we want to do, we know Nano Blades are win condition, and as a player, you have to know what the other team's win condition is. I will never stop saying that. So we see it come out, we pop our trance, and we did our job. And once the trance ended, we tried to put ourselves in a relatively safe spot because, again, we don't want to be on point just giving our life away. We want to be able to use our Discord and be able to squeeze every ounce of value out of Zen. As you can see, though, this fight didn't really go as planned. I don't know if we didn't have enough target prioritization, or maybe they just had a better ult economy than we did, but for whatever reason, this fight didn't end up working. I think we did almost everything we could have possibly done for that last fight, but something was just missing, though. And for attack now, you see we have a pretty standard dive comp again. We have a Widowmaker here, but Widow's actually pretty good for first point just because there's a lot of space, and as a defender, it's very hard to get up where Widow's going to be playing and be able to contest her without putting yourself into a pretty dangerous spot as well. And what we're going to want to do next is actually check what kind of comp they have. And when you see this ledge right here and you see nobody on it or behind it, you can almost instantly know that they're going dive, or they probably have some sort of goats composition and they're ready to rush you from one of the small corridors. So either way, it's going to be a pretty easy indicator to know what you're up against. And this is actually going to end up being a pretty easy fight because our Widow's going to end up getting a pick early here and killing their Ana, which is their main healer. So they're not going to have much healing to be able to sustain this fight. All we're doing right now as a Zen player, we're just discording targets that we see, and we're calling them out, and we're just having our team focus them down as quick as we can to be able to build an ult advantage for next fight and just to get to point B quicker. So we're going to start making our way over to point B here, and what we know now is they don't have any ults because they pretty much just got rolled. We have way more ult economy than they do. We're closer to some ults. We know they don't have any, so we want to be able to go in our first fight actually pretty aggressively here because by the time we get there, we probably should have ults ready, and we should be ready to just take a fight. And honestly, that's going to be one of our best chances of capping the point, the first fight, as long as we have the ult advantage. So, and we see our team get a ton of kills here. We land an insane pulse bomb. We kill both their supports, and once we know both their supports are dead, this is kind of where Zen shines in 2CP, especially point B. It's very important to have a Zen on point Bs because you want to be able to kill targets as quick as possible because you don't want them to do that thing where they just stall for 2 minutes at a time and end up taking the point back, and before you know it, you don't even have a tick. So with Zen, you can be a pretty good shot caller. You can give people obviously a debuff, and just be able to kill people a lot quicker, just be able to clean the point up as quick as possible. And I want to take a second to pause here for this trans play that I just happened to use, and looking back after I watched this VOD, I think this ends up being a pretty bad play because this kind of contradicts what I said earlier when I say that the defending team has way better spawn advantage, and I already know we're down a few people. I know their respawns are going to be coming up soon, and ours are still who knows where. So even though we're getting picks here and stuff and all this, I just don't think this was really a smart play on my end. So I think, again, you got to really pay attention to the numbers game, and once you're down like 2 people, you really have to think about whether this ult you're going to use is worth it or is it not. And if you're attacking point B on 2CP and like I said, you're down a few people, more times than not, it's probably not the move unless you really have an ult combo where you can clear the point pretty quick. So that being said, the fight was lost. It was a mistake, but when you make mistakes in this game, you can't dwell on it, so you just got to kind of keep moving forward. So we're going to just group up for next fight here. And as we go, we actually end up getting a pick on the Sombra here. So this is kind of our opportunity to take advantage of a numbers game. So obviously we know we have 6 people live, and we know they're down to 5. So once we know we're actually getting ahead in the game now, for those of you that don't know this, the more people that are on point for the attacking team, the longer the defending team's respawn time is. So just by getting more people on point, it's actually going to make it a harder time for the defending team to be able to come back and stall and do these long ordeals that we see all the time, and it's so frustrating. So if you know that you can be on point and not be in any danger, go for it. But at the end of the day, if you don't think you're able to survive while being on point, it's probably better off you just stay a little bit further back and just keep providing value with your abilities. And right there, you saw that EMP bomb was committed into this fight, and they pretty much destroyed our whole team. We didn't commit many ults. I think we just switched to Reinhardt, so that's new. So we didn't use any ults. It's okay to lose that fight because we got a few ults out of them. But now we just want to go to a point where we're just not staggering. So we want to be able to just play by spawn until our team is actually ready to go back and engage. And what seems to happen here is I guess our team wasn't fully grouped because people were just coming back from spawn. But I had players telling me that we were ready to push in. So I actually start committing here. And you see, as I go in by myself, a lot of my team, actually my whole team, backs up. And it's just me in this room. I ended up getting Primal Rage engaged onto me. So this is kind of my fault because I should be more aware of kill feed, as should everybody. So for those of you who don't do it, pay attention to the kill feed just so you can understand when your team's ready to go. Don't just autopilot in like I did, and actually learn from this experience. So even though people are telling you to go, make sure that your whole team's there. Make it your responsibility as a support to make sure your whole team's there. So this time here, we actually know that we're going to wait till we're fully grouped since we just learned from our previous mistakes. So since we know we have a Reinhardt now, and we actually just swapped triple support, it's going to be a good idea to actually go in and take the left room, just so our Reinhardt can maybe get some close brawls, and we'll be able to get some more space from left side. So we're actually going to decide to do what we were going to do last time, but instead do it as a team this time. And I want you all to pay really close attention to this next few seconds of my gameplay here. And it's going to show why it's so important to follow with your Discord. So before you actually even shoot a target you're focusing on, you actually want the target to be Discorded, because if you follow your Discord, you're actually going to be getting so much extra damage. And just for the specific reason that we did this almost perfectly, we end up getting 2 kills before the fight even starts. Without Discord here, I don't think we kill either of these targets. So it's so important to follow your Discord. And when I say follow your Discord, I mean find a target you're going to shoot at, and before you shoot at him, make sure he's tagged and ready to be attacked. So it's going to make a huge difference. And as you do that, relay to your team what you're doing as well, so they understand the kill target too. And I actually want to pause here for another side note, actually, as to why I'm walking into this room instead of actually being out discording my enemies here for a split second. And here's why. So we know the other team has a Sombra, and I actually cannot remember the last time she used EMP. I think she's close to it. So why I'm positioning in this little room instead of being out on like the point is I'm assuming Sombra's probably going to go EMP the point here. So I want to be in a spot where if she EMPs a team, we will be ready to counter it with a trans of our own to maybe sustain our team who's been EMP'd. And you're actually going to see EMP come out, and pretty much like I said, we knew she had EMP, so we wanted to be in a spot where we were able to pop it when she used EMP. But unfortunately, in this scenario, we saw a few people critical prior, so we kind of had to do it a little bit earlier than anticipated. But it still delivered the value to keep our team up and be able to possibly have a chance of taking this fight. But as you can see, this fight's actually not going to be winnable. They ended up getting a few picks. Even though we're getting kills here, it doesn't matter, because if you're trading, it's just going to favor the defense because they're going to be back way quicker. And if you invest time on trying to win a fight like this, you're just going to end up in the long run almost wasting extra time every time. So once you get a lot of trades like that, it's almost better to just back up as a team and try to get a fight as 6. And now we're going to be pushing into probably one of our last fights, maybe 2 if this one ends quick. But we're going to see Winston die really quick, and this is going to be another good advantage for us. So we know their main tank's gone, and we're taking another numbers game here. So we're just going to move our way in and pretty much do what we've been doing and just follow our Discords and hope we can land kills by calling out our Discorded targets. And as you're going to see through most of this footage coming up, we're doing what we said. We're discording every target, I have most audio muted, so you see my mic moving. I'm calling out most of the targets that are being killed. But I think the issue is they're getting back to point too quick, and it's because we don't have enough people on point. But as far as what we can do, we could have done not many things differently. Like I said, we were calling out what needed to be killed. We were addressing the low targets, and they were always discorded. But again, it's just I don't think enough people were on point, or we just weren't killing things fast enough. So at the end of the day, just to wrap this video up a little bit, I think it's very, very, very important to be able to track your enemy's ultimates, because once you are able to track their ultimates, you will then know what you need your transcendence for, and you'll most likely know when their ults are going to be coming, so you can prepare for it a little bit more. And we can also see throughout this video just how important your Discord orb is as a whole. Just being able to burn targets down quicker anytime you see when someone goes in too deep or they don't have their movement abilities. You want to be able to focus these guys and just try to eliminate them as quick as possible, because if they make the mistake of going too deep, they're not going to be able to get out most likely. So we want to just try to erase them with Discord Orb and make it apparent to your team that you are trying to kill these guys in the backline, because they are indeed very killable. I hope you guys enjoyed this video though. In the description, I'm going to post just a couple Zen tips that everyone should probably know, and if you don't know it, they're going to be down there for you to learn. It's going to be pretty general things, but it's going to be things that also can be very, very useful for your gameplay. And if you don't know it, it's just going to be helpful to take a look down there and maybe pick up on a few things that you didn't know about before. I just wanted to thank you guys for taking the time to actually check out this video, and this is actually the first video I've ever made, so if you guys feel like anything should be added on to this, feel free to let me know, because I'm always open to being able to find ways to help people even more. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you have any comments or anything, feel free to drop it down in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day or night. See you guys later.